All right, welcome back to the fifth and final video in this video. No, I was about to say the video copilot.net series. No, the visualbasic.net series. I'm hopefully going to wrap it all up here with a bunch of different things. I'm going to try and keep it as quick as I can. So please pause the video, go back as much as you possibly can because I am going to go fast. I really want to get this wrapped up here today. So I'm going to try and squeeze in a number of things. This is what I'm going to try and squeeze in. I'm going to try and squeeze in counter variables. I'm going to try and squeeze in if and then else if. And then I'm also going to try and squeeze in the dot visible attribute or property, which is super important and super useful, and then hopefully things appearing on the timer. Sorry, I'm just trying to not click as hard as I can. I was going through a couple of my edits and realized that the clicks were super loud. I've moved the mic around. I don't know if that's really going to help, but we'll see how we go. And then the last thing is moving on count. So if you understand what I mean once we get to that. But they're the 5 things that we're going to do. Counter variables, if, else, if, visible, something appearing on a timer, like down when it gets to like 5 seconds, appearing then, not when it's at 20 seconds. And then also correspondingly moving on a count. So when it gets to a certain point in the timer that an object will move around or appear or disappear. All right, so let's jump right in and do it. Take a time now to pause the video and make your GUI look exactly like mine. What I have here is 3 picture boxes. I have a label over here, another label over here, and another label over here, a 4th label down here, and 3 picture boxes. I've called this guy LBL count. This guy is called LBL timer 6. Wow. Okay, maybe I don't know why. And this guy's called PB green. Again, that's not really useful, being blue. So I'm just going to change him to green. And this guy's PB blue, which I'm going to change to blue. Let's go for a royal blue. And then red is going to be our dude that we click. Initially, we're going to click red 5 times, and then we'll see how we go. So pause our video, see how we go, and then we'll come back when you have your GUI like that. All right, and we're back. Now, this GUI is a previous project that we did in class. I just wanted to show you real quick the count variable and how to initialize an integer variable and then make it count each time you click. I wanted to show you with this GUI. You don't need to follow me. You could pause and create this yourself if you really wanted to, but you don't need to follow me. And this time it's very, very easy. I just wanted to show you how to initialize a count variable and then how to increment a count variable and make it do something. So here's something real simple. Click red 5 times, and when I double click my box, this is how I started my count variable. Dim count as integer. This is, we haven't initialized a variable yet, but this is a way of initializing a variable in Visual Basic. So real quick, dim is a keyword built into Visual Basic. It basically means declare. Count is the name of the variable, so whatever I want to call it. The name of the variable doesn't really matter as long as it doesn't have spaces or symbols or something like that. I could call it Jimmy, but Jimmy as integer won't really help me all that much. Whereas if I know it's a count variable, I kind of know its purpose and I kind of know what it's for. When I have lots of variables, that's going to be much easier for me to read. So dim, your declare statement. Count is the name of your variable. 2 more keywords built into VB. As is always the way that you dim variable name as, and then the last part here is data type. Wow, that is the worst arrow I've ever drawn. Or drawn. Drawn. it's getting late. Integer. So an integer variable, a variable, we've explained this in class, is just a container. An empty container that you could store things of a specific type. An integer variable, you could store any whole or real number. So not decimals. Did I say that wrong? Yeah, anyways, not decimals, but you can store any whole number. Negative numbers are okay. You can't store decimals with an integer. That would be another data type, which we're not going to look at today. So what this whole statement says here is declare or initialize count as integer with the value of default value of 0. Well, you don't really need to do that because in VB it already creates an integer with a default value of 0. If you wanted to give it a default value of something else, you would have to do this. But just out of good practice, I'm going to do that. So then here, what I've done is, oh, let me get rid of that little box. That is way too close. Here what I've done is, this is by sub for my PB red object, my red box. And all I've done here is, you'll notice the very, very first line. When I start this sub, the first thing it's going to do, it is going to take the count variable at its current value, which extension question would be, what is its current value right now? And its current value is 0. We haven't done anything to it yet, but when we press the red box, it's going to start this, and it's going to say count at its current value equals count at its current value plus 1. So after that line executes, count will now equal 1. If I had no other lines there, then that's all that box would do. If this was not there, that's all that box would do. I click it again, and now count at its current value, which would be 1, equals 1 plus 1. So now count, the container now holds a value of 2. Click it a third time. 2 at its current value now equals 2 plus 1. I was about to say 3. 2 plus 1, which now count at its current value will now equal 3. Okay, and we're going to continue that, and that's how you're able to almost track how many times you're clicking, because I'm clicking count, and then once that value gets to 5, I want it to do something. If count equals 5, then question 5 show me hide, or whatever you want to do. Click count 5 times. That's how it's going to know now whether count has been clicked 5 times. And if count equals 5, then I'm able to execute a certain command. All right, so let me pause there, and that's a count variable for us. I'm going to come back in just a second in the same video. Don't go anywhere, but I'm going to come back, try and initialize that count variable, muck around with it a little bit, and then we're going to go back to the GUI that we first drew and start to do some other things there. All right, so we're going to try and implement that now in our prototype. So we have the GUI, and we're going to try and click 5 times and make this label change. So the first thing I'm going to do is right at the top, I'm going to initialize this variable. I'm going to call it dim count as integer. I don't have to make it a 0. I could if I wanted to, but for this case, I'm not going to make it a 0. It's 0 by default. Then when I click on my red box, okay, so when I click on this box, when I click on this box, I want this number to change based on what I'm clicking. So what I'm going to do is count equals count plus 1. And you'll notice that when I'm actually running this, great, I shouldn't have done that because I'm rendering and doing a bunch of things at the moment. Okay, so pick the red one, I go to here, I go to here, pick the red one, click the red 5 times. Why is it running this program? That's not the one I wanted. Okay, let me just pause and figure out what's going on here. Okay, and we're back again. I'm not entirely sure what's going on, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to form 1 and kind of create a secret shortcut for us, an Easter egg, if you will. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create this blank picture box. Now it's beautiful. PB Easter. Because now when I click on this picture box, I'm going to make it have a very specific purpose, and it's going to be a shortcut that's going to take me all the way through to question 5. Right, so it's going to go to question 5. So now, sorry, if I run this, nothing's going to happen, okay, because I need to make the count actually display. Yes, count, this integer variable will be ticking over in the background, but nothing will actually happen. So what I need to say is now something like this. LBL count.text equals 1. Is that what I called that guy? I'm just copying and pasting from another project. Let me just close a couple of things here. Yes. Yes, yes. Here we go, designs over here. What do we call this guy? LBL count. Fantastic. So LBL count.text equals 1 if I click on that once. Now if I run that, click my secret Easter egg over here, you'll notice I'll click that, and that goes up, but if I click it multiple times, it doesn't go up any further. There's lots of ways to do this. Loops, case statements, and different things. But right now, just to keep it nice and easy and keep us familiar with the tools that we know, I'm going to keep using an if statement. Programming wise, this is not the best way to do it by far, but right now, we'll stick with what we understand. So we understand that we could do an if statement. If count equals 1, then do something. So if count equals 1, we want it to write this text. What if, or else if, we can test a, wow. Okay. I'm trying to do way too much. 1 second. All right, and we're back yet again. Computer's back online, and we're back to here. So very, very quickly, question 5. We said this thing here. Oh, that's working so nicely now. If count equals 1, then we want it to do something. Else, if count equals something else, we want it to maybe do something else. So again, not the best way to do it, but it is a way to do it. Else, if we can now check a second condition. So if it gets to count equals 1, and I've already clicked it twice, that means that this would have run twice. So by the time it gets to here, this line number 9, it won't go into that, but it will check this second condition, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one, if I add more and more conditions. So if count equals 2, what do I want it to do? Let's say I want it to do the exact same thing, but write a 2. Let's move a bit quicker now. If I want to copy and paste those exact same 2 lines, what if count equals 3? Be careful with cutting and pasting. It's the easiest way to do things wrong, but I'm going to cheat here. If I run that now, you can see. Did that work? If I run that, now you can see my secret button here. 1, 2, 3, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. Nothing's happening because I haven't coded it. Okay, so let's see what else I could do. On the 4th time, let's see if I can do something a bit trickier. Else if count equals 4, I still want it to write a 4 up in the label. Right, so I'm still going to keep these 2 lines. else if count equals 4, I'm going to make it write a 4. But then I'm also going to do something else. And now I'm going to, let me just double check my script here. Now I'm going to, I have counter variables, else if, I'm going to talk about the dot visible property. Okay, so the dot visible property works like this. That right now I have this element on top of everything. uWin does not, I don't want it to appear, and it won't appear because uWin has a property right down the bottom here which says visible false. That means unless I set it to true, I will not see the uWin object. It's still there, I just won't see it. As a matter of fact, if I run it, you'll notice that it doesn't say uWin because uWin is set to false, whereas everything else is set to true. So what if now, again, we can there's my phone. Snake, are you there? Let's move quickly. We could kind of cheat movement by doing this. What if on the fourth click I made this button and this button and this button disappear, and I had another set of buttons, a red box, a blue box over here, and a green box over here, laying in wait that when count equals 4, all of them will turn to visible equals true, and all the other ones will turn to visible equals false. I could flip the script and I could do that, and I could kind of simulate movement. But for now, we're just going to do it with the red box, PB red. Okay, so what we're going to do is on the fourth one, I'm going to make PB red disappear. So I'm going to say PB red dot visible equals false. Again, I can actually animate it. I can move locations and put it somewhere else, but for now, let's just do this. Let's say that this box here, now on count, no, you know what? Let's make a brand new box up here. Let's grab a brand new box. Picture box, picture box. Oh, now that I opened up everything. Picture box over here. Give it another, the same red. But this one I'm going to call it PB underscore red 2. This guy is going to be false visible by default, and he will appear only when count equals 4. So I can now say, I'm cheating a lot here, if count equals 4, and I want it to do something. What I want it to do, I want it to make this box, PB red 2, visible equal true. So I've got a red line because I have no end if. Alright, let's do this. Let's see what happens. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow. Epic. Epic. Fail. Quick debugging. Quick debugging. 1, 2, 3. Okay, if count equals 4, which it currently does, let's just step through this, see if we get there. 1, 2, 3, 4. And what you can see here is the process of debugging. Fantastic tools, adding a breakpoint. Now it takes me line by line, And I can press F11 now to hover over it and say, oh, count does equal 4. The text does change to 4. PB red visible equals false. End if. Oh, you know what? What an absolute idiot. The reason why this will never run, I'm not being hacked. I'm just doing things way too fast. The reason why it will never run this code is very, very simple. It will never run this code in green unless picture box 2 is actually clicked. And it will not be clicked if it's not visible. So when count equals 4, all we need to do is chuck that line in there. Wow, that was ridiculous. Get rid of that. For now. So there, once I've clicked this box, PB red, what it's going to do is make this box invisible and then make this box visible. So here we go again. So now 1, 2, 3, 4, bang, and now we have a box up here ready to be clicked. I can't click on a box if I can't see it or if it's not visible. Therefore, whatever's in here would have never run. So now you can see that I've actually changed something on movement. Now, pause the video there. Try and see how you can go with counting and doing different things there, trying to make your box move around. And I'm going to come back. That was when something was moving on count. I jumped forward on the script there a little bit. That was when something was moving on count. So now this has now moved on count. So when something is equal to 4, I'm also changing the dot visible property. Pause the video there, and then we're going to come back with appearing on timer, and we're going to wrap it up. Fantastic. Let's do that. Okay, welcome back. And now finally, we wanted to do something like this. Pick the red one, pick the green one, click. Oh, sorry, I can't go that way because I put a shortcut in this one too. We want to do something like this where I start clicking and then the timer starts. I click again. I click again. I click again, and boom, everything disappears until 5 seconds. And at 5 seconds, something appears, and I can click stop, pause, you win. All right, we want to do that right now on our project. It's going to be a little bit different than what we've done already, but stay with me here. Pause the video, do whatever you need to do, and keep up. So here we go. Count equals 1, count equals 2, count equals 3. We're going to make it do 1, 2, 3. For example, now what we're going to do is on the third one, I'm going to move the box. I'm going to move the box. So what I'm going to do to move the box is I make this PB red invisible, and I make that PB red visible. Essentially disabling the rest, so I don't need any of this. So if I click on it once, it's going to say 1, 2, and then on the third one, it writes a 3 up in the label, but it makes this box disappear, and it makes then this box appear. Right, so now when we click on this box the fourth time, we're going to make it do something. When I click on this box the fourth time, I'm going to copy and paste this text from my other software over here. We want to make it write a 4, of course, but then we want to make everything else. PB blue, PB green, and PB red is already invisible, so we're going to make PB red 2 invisible, waiting for you to click it the 5th time. Else if count equals 5, then do the final thing. I've already taken the liberty to add a timer on this. So I've added a timer down here. I've made it do all the things, but I haven't enabled it yet, and I haven't told it anything to do. So if I double click that timer, what do I want that timer to do? You can essentially just copy and paste the exact same thing from this timer here. I want it to go down in time, Yes. If it's a something, I want it to do something. So let's just copy and paste all that text and see how we go. Be careful copy and pasting. Again, you might need to fix the names. Yep, it's like here, LBL timer is not called LBL timer. What's this guy called? This guy's called now LBL count. Alright, so now I come here. LBL underscore count. Dot text goes down by 1. LBL count dot text. It's not timer 1. This one's called timer 6 in this form. It's not LBL timer, it's LBL count. So what this is saying again, it's going to count down to 5. Except the difference being here is we are starting at 15. So what I want to do now is I want to do something a little bit tricky. Is I want to say I want it to count down, but when it gets to 5, if LBL count equals 5, not 0, if LBL count equals 5, then I am going to make this invisible thing visible. I'm going to make this invisible thing visible, else if the timer, sorry, what am I doing there? Else if, oops, nope. Else if LBL count gets to 0, same thing as before, gets to 0, then we've lost. If it gets to 0, then the timer enabled is going to be false. And me.hide fail.show, we're going to fail the whole thing. What this is saying is if once the timer gets to 5, then we're going to make this box, which hopefully by then is invisible, we're going to make it visible. If it gets to 0, then we're going to stop the timer. We're going to hide the form and show the fail form. What we're going to do up here is when we click on our first red box, we are then going to start the time. So it's not going to start automatically like the other one. It's going to start the time here. Just double check that it's not automatic. Okay, enabled false, good. Let's check if that works. Good, it hasn't started automatically. Now go 1. Okay, there is a problem. Oh, sorry. It's not the count. What is this? That's count. It's telling me how many count it is, but this is the timer. Copying and pasting. That's a problem. LBL timer 6. Just copy that name. There we go. It jumped straight to here because it said LBL count is 0. So it failed me straight away. LBL timer dot text. Now let's run. 1, 2, 3. It moves. 4. Wow. And we're going to run out of time, and it should take us to fail. At least we'll see if that works. Good. Okay, and now we're debugging. Why did it not take us to... Four? Of course, because it's never going to equal 4. It's never going to equal 4 because we get to this, it goes 1, 2, 3, and then we essentially close this box down. Now there's a very important line in this box, which is this guy, which is the actual one that increments the box. So I need to make sure that that one is also on the top of this box here. Working fast and cut and pasting. That's a recipe for problems. 1, 2, 3, 4. We wait until it gets to 5 seconds. And at 5 seconds, it should appear. Boom. It stops. You win. Fantastic. You could even make the other box appear. When you stop everything, you can do a whole bunch of things. Like this is your win sub. I'm going to wrap it up here, but you could do a whole bunch of things. For example, else if count equals 5. If count equals 4, do this. If count equals what if we make PB red, the original one, pop up? If count equals 5, hey, you think it's over there, but no, the original one pops up, and we come over here and say, I'm going to copy and paste this and steal it from PB red 2. Else if count equals 5, then timer 6 enabled false, it stops the timer. When visible is visible. Me dot back color equals, I don't know, black. That's not going to work because everything's going to go crazy. Yellow, I'm not going to be able to see my text or anything. Light yellow. What else have we got? And make everything disappear, right? So you can then do a sub that makes everything disappear. So LBL dot count visible equals false. LBL dot question dot visible equals false. LBL timer visible false. PB blue dot visible false. PB. Ideally, the way that you would do this is make a sub program, but we're not going to jump into that right now. PB red dot visible equals false. And the final one, PB red 2 dot visible, and I think that's all the objects on this. It was false. So again, it's just a sequence. It's just going to, when it equals 5, it's going to systematically just go bang, 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 bang. It's going to stop the timer. It's going, it's going to stop the timer. It's going to make the win label visible. It's going to change the background of the whole thing to yellow. It's going to make all these labels hide, and then it's going to make all these picture boxes hide. So with a bit of luck, that's going to work perfectly right now. 1, 2, 3, 4. At 5 seconds, we should get a box here. 5, boom. You win. Everything's invisible. The background is yellow. You win comes up. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap. Boom. Simsy signing out. Subscribe. Back for another series.